Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. So in the previous videos, we learned about how conditional statement work, that is how if, else if and elif works. And we have also made a progress on solve calculator.py, and I have asked you to do the homework. I hope you guys have done it. So today we'll be learning about a new concept called loops. So what loops means? A loop, in if you see in general English, what it means is going through same thing over and over again. That is the basic concept of loop. So in Python we have two type of loop. One is for loop and while loop. We'll get through the what this for loop and while loop means, but let's start with for loop. So what for loop does is, for loops takes in a string, or it takes in a list. Suppose it takes in a basket and it counts, then it goes over one by one all the items. So we haven't learned about something called list, but we'll be doing this after the loops is completed. So first let's see what we have learned till now. So we have already learned about something called string. So you already know what string is. String is like a long text. So something like hello world. So this is a string. So string is also, if you see, it's like a basket, right? So it's like a basket where totally it's hello world, but in a singular way, these are all of letters, right? All the letters are one by one connected together to form a string. So this itself is a basket of letters. So we can go over the letter one by one using for loop. How do we do that? So let me show you the syntax. For syntax, it's for is the keyword for it. Then you need to write something, a variable, like how you say let x, right? So let's write something called let. Let's keep everything similar so that we understand why the loop is. So we can add for letter, and where we want to look the letter, we want to look the letter in string. So we have for letter in string. If you see, it's like general English. So it's like for letter in string. We want to print all the letters. So we'll say print letter. So how this works is, so by the for loop, Python will understand this is a for loop. I need to loop over something. So what do I need to loop over? I need to loop over string. And what is the variable that will say where I am currently in that list or basket? This letter is the variable that will take one by one, like it will take h, e, l, l, o, then world similarly. So now if I run this, okay, let's run this Python for. So if I run this, you see it got printed hello world one by one after the other. So it did not print in the same line, because we have learned in the first, when we learned about print statement, by default the end is always the next line. So it always goes to the different line. But if you put end equals to space, then we can write in the same line. Let's keep it here itself. So we can write end equals space. So instead of this, we can write this. Now if I run this, see it printed in the same line where there is a space between all the letters. So that is how for loop works. So we can add for, put the text like the variable, and put in if you want to look over a basket and what is the name of the basket. So when we learn about a list, then we'll go through how we can perform this in a list. Okay, so this is how for loop works. But sometimes you want that a loop should be going on forever. Like suppose here, right? So if it goes letter by letter of the string, so it goes h, e, l, l, o world. When it means the d, right, then this for loop understands that this is the end. So the syntax break here, there is an error thrown called stop iteration, but we'll learn about that error in the later part. Just know that when it ends, the list understand, the for loop understand that this is the end. Now I should not be running anything else, so I should complete. So that is how for loop works. Now if you want to run something again and again, like there should be only one condition where it should break, otherwise it should keep on running. That is where we can use the while loop. Suppose here, right, on the string, if the text complete, then it's done for this string, for this for loop. But you want that it should go over and over until I say the command, now it's done, you don't have to run anything. So there we can use while loop. Suppose this is while. So how this while? So this is while, and here we put the condition. So when this condition is true, this while will keep running until this condition become false. This while will keep running and running and running. So we'll add while condition. So in the condition, let's put something called condition. Let's put a number. Okay, we'll put a number is equals to 5. So we'll say while number is greater than equal to 5. Okay, Now, so we'll say while the number is greater than equals to, suppose let's say 10, number is less than equals to 10. So what does this say? So the number is 5, right? So it will say while loop, the number is less than 10. Is it 10? Yes, true. Then it will run all of the things inside. So it will run here, whatever we do here, right? It will just keep on running this. Now what we say? We'll say whenever you run this, just increase the number. So we'll say number. So in Python, and if you see in C and C++, we can use double plus. So what this does is it increases the number by 1. So but Python does not accept this double plus. So what you can do is you can say plus equal 1. What does this say Python? That while this number is less than equals 10, increase the number by 1. So what happens when you increase the number by 1 in the second loop, this will again start, since this condition is true, right? It will keep on running. Then second time the number becomes 6. Then it will check, is the number 6 less than 10? Yes. Again it will keep running the same thing again and again. But when it is 11, right? 11 is less than equals 10? No. Then this loop will break. So let's see how this works. Let's run this. If you see, it ran properly and it got submitted, but nothing got printed since we did not print anything. But let's print out this. If I write print number, now what? So we need to maintain the indentation, okay? Since Python does not use bracket system, so the indentation is very much necessary. So now when I run this, you see it printed 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but after 10 it broke the loop. Why? Because in the while it's always based on condition. Until the condition is true, it will keep running till the condition is broken. So at one time the number will become 11, but 11 is not less than 10. So that is where the condition breaks and it got executed and comes out of this. Okay, so in the while loop you can also use one thing called else, like in if else, right? Where we always need else. So we can use something called else. So when this loop will break, right, then this will get executed. So you can write print the condition. You can write the condition become false at number. So put this in an F string. So when this condition become false, this else clause can only run. So if you run this, if you see, the condition become false at 11. So you can use else when you run in a loop, right? When you write for loop or while loop, then you can put the else condition. So when this condition is break, then this can execute. So if you want something to happen when this loop break, but you don't want to write something after the statement, so you can write this here also, okay? So if you think that without the else also, it will work as how it's supposed to work. So if I run this, you can run this. But if you want that, you want to execute, you want to know that if this condition is not met, then this should run, then you can use the else condition here also. If you run this, you see there is no change between the first one and this one. Both of them look similar. That is how the for loop and while loop works. But when we learn about list dictionary, right, then you will learn a better part of for loop. But for now, you can say that it runs upon all the item in a basket. So for here, the string was a basket, and it will run upon the letter, that is the each letter of this string. And we use while loop when we want to run a similar thing again and again until a condition is met. It's not like a basket is finished or something, but we want that it should keep on running until we want that no, you should not run anymore, just stop it, then we can use this. Now this can be used in our calculator. So that is what our third project is. So what we'll do is in the calculator, if I take you there, so you can see that in the last time we used our if and else clause to make it better than the first variable and input. But here if you see, the condition only run once. So you take an input, you put an operator, then it does a sum and it finishes it. Now you can't keep it running again and again. But if you see, we have learned about this while loop, right? How if we can use this. So what we can do is we'll keep running. After the answer is given, then we'll ask the user to enter, do you want to continue? If you want to continue, you can enter number. If you don't want to continue, press exit and we'll come out. So let's do that. We're just making this calculator better by learning a new topic every time, okay? So let's do loops. So what better, let's copy this and let's write here while loop. We'll use while loop, while true. So we'll write should continue. continue equals true. So we are just, for the while loop to run, we know we need a condition, so we'll put this should continue as a condition. By default this is true, means it will never stop, it will just keep on running. Now while it should run, then we'll put this. So what will this do? This will say every time this condition is true, right, we'll always get this input. We have already learned how input and print works. So while this condition is true, right, then it will ask for input operator number, and it will put this. Let's put this here. We are doing the same thing, but we are using loop this time. You'll see why this loop make this a better thing. You'll see this will work like how we wanted a calculator should generally work. So let's put this print, let's put indentation log. Now how this work is, while loop means until this condition is false, keep on running everything inside it. So first it will ask for number 1 operator, number 2, it will say if it's plus, minus or anything, and in the end what we'll do, we'll put one more print statement called input should I continue. Let's put it correctly. SHOUL, should I continue, yes or no. Okay, then we'll put this way, and now what this will do, it will ask for input to the user. Should I continue this? Do you want to do more calculation? So then we'll put here, let's make this an option. If, now we'll say if option equals to y. So suppose the user said y, then what we'll do, we'll just continue. Okay, I forgot to say one more thing. So what this continue does is, let's say this, I'll show you when I go to the for loop once again. Else we'll say should continue equals to false. Okay, now how this work is, I'll tell you about this. Okay, so what this does is go back to the condition. So it will just go back to this part again, it will see true, again it will start executing the same thing. When the option is y, right, then it will continue. Else what it will say, should continue equals false, and you know this while loop is based on condition. So when this become false, it will stop executing. So let's run this and see how it works. Let's comment this out, since now we have moved on from conditional, we are on the loops. So let's do python solve and run this. So it's asking enter first number, so we say 12, enter operator, we say plus, enter 12. Now what it should print 24, then it should give us an option that should it continue. If you see, it ran the sum is 12 and 12 is 24, then it asked one more question, should I continue. Now if I press yes, right, see, it again asked for enter first number. So I press 12 minus 12, and you see the difference of 12 and 12 is 0. Again it's asking should I continue. So now what happens is, this calculator keeps on running in a loop. Since the calculator keeps on running, you can do manual calculation at the same time. So you can just keep on doing things until it breaks. But when you say end, right, you see it's done, the program breaks. Why? Because it's a, when it's not y, make the should continue equals false, and when it's false, you know, this condition will become false, and while loop will stop executing when the condition become false. Now let's go back to what is continue. So in the loops, right, use let me comment out this while loop and go back to for loop, because in the for loop you can understand continue in a better way. So we said for letters in string, print letter and end equals this, right? Now 1 minute. Okay, so we said every letter should be printed, but what if we don't want that? If a letter is suppose if the letter is W, then don't print anything. So what we can say, if letter is equals to W. So we have learned about if and else clause, right? So if clause, if we say if else is W, then we can say something called continue. Now how this continue work? Continue is a keyword. Okay, so in a loop, when you encounter continue, it says the for loop that don't go below this. So it does not matter whatever you write here, okay, whatever you write here or you write here, it will not execute anything you write in this to do. Why? Because you said continue. What continue means is, after you reach this continue, it should go back to the for loop. It should go back to the statement where a condition will keep. It will not do anything that is written below this continue. So this continue is helpful when you want that on list. If suppose in a basket, if there are many vegetables, you want suppose you want tomato, but there are so many of apples, so you can say like, whenever I meet in tomato, stop looking for anything else because that is what I want. In the same way here you can say, if the letter is W, continue, don't print this W and print the all everything. So you are saying this for loop that print every letter except W. So when it means W, it will continue, it will go to O from here. Let's run this so you can see this clearly. So if I run this, you see it printed hello world, but it did not print W. Why didn't it print W? Because we said, right, when it's W, you just continue, you don't have to do anything. So that is why this W is missing here. So that is what continue, how continue works. So you may be wondering like, why there are two spaces here. So if you see in the hello world, right, there is already one space. So if I remove this space, right, and run this once again, you should see the space is gone. There is one space. This is because, okay, I think it did not run properly. Yeah, now if there is no two space and the W is missing here. The W is missing only because we said if it's W, continue, don't print anything. Now if we said if it's H, then continue. So what will this do? This won't print H and it will print everything else. So if you see, the H is missing and everything is here. So that is how continue work. Along with continue, there is also one more thing called break. So what breaks does is, so suppose you say like in the previous one I said, right, when you meet a tomato in a basket, you want that it should not run for anything else. So that is where you can use break. So you can use something like called if letter is equals to L, then break. So what this will do, whenever it finds L, right, in this hello world for this third character L, it will break this loop. I mean this, it will exit out of this loop. It won't print anything before after this. It will just finish up this. So the difference is continue means skip a letter. So let me put here continue, skip. So it will just skip this H. And for break means do not continue further in the loop. So this is what this definition is. Continue means skip that part, and break means skip everything that comes after it. Okay, now if you see, if I print this, right, you see only E got printed. First is H did not get printed because if letter is H, then continue, don't. So this line, it did not even come to this line. Second time it's E. So is it equals to H? No. Is it equals to L? No. That's why this got printed. But the third time when it found L, right, it says, is it H? No. Is it L? Yes. If it's yes, then just break it out. So it broke, and you can see this did not get printed, only E got printed. So these are the two this keyword you need to understand, continue and breaks. This will be very useful in loops. So that was it for for loop. I guess you understand the while loop, and we made the calculator better. If you see, now this will keep on running forever until you say that you don't want to continue. You press Y, it will continue. You press N, it should stop. It will stop continuing, and you can do this. So that is part of the loops. I hope you understood it. So we'll understand this in a better way. So in the next class, when we'll learn about list, dictionary, sets, you don't have to know this. We'll learn slowly by slowly. Then you'll understand how loops take an important part there, where you can use loops in a better way. I had to teach that before this, but I want that you should know at least little bit of looping things, since these are some basic general English you use, right? So we want to know things. That's why I went with the loops before I went with the list and all that. And I guess you understood why the while loop is very useful when we want to continue something again and again until a certain condition is met. So this is like break statement, right? Whenever a condition is met, it stops the loop. So this is where you can use while loop. Now since this is done, let's push it to GitHub. So let's see what is the status. Git status, we see two files were modified. One were solve calculator, second a new file was created, loops. So we'll write git add solve, and we'll write for, yes, now we'll add git commit message loops. Okay, we'll add for and while loops, for and while loops. Let's push it, git push origin main. Let's see if it got pushed. Yes, that should be it. Now let's go to GitHub and see if it got pushed. Go to GitHub and our repository would be here. Go to repository 0 to hero Python series, and you should see loops. If you come here, yes, the loops are all here, and for the solve calculator we have used loops here. So that is it for today. I hope you understood something new. It's very important to know about loops. Okay, just take a bit of time. The for loop may be a little bit problematic now, since we don't have something called list where we can loop over something. Take a look over while loop. Don't use for loop for now. Take a look over while loop and see how you can use it in different perspective, where it keeps on running until a condition is met. So you can put here anything. The condition can be anything until it resolves to true and false. Okay, so number less than equals 30, numbers equals to true, or you can put a boolean like number, the boolean value is positive equals to true, and something like this. Use while loop now. For loop, when we learn about list, right, this will make more sense in list and all other things, but while loop you can use now. And solve calculator, you see, it's still in the homework. Okay, if you haven't done it, make it more useful by adding different features. Like we have added plus and minus, but there are many other arithmetic that you can use. Just use this. And yeah, that is it for today. If you find it useful, you can like the playlist, or you can keep it in a library so that you can reference it whenever you want. And if you have any problem or any question, put it in the comment. I'll try to solve each and every of them. So every month I'm thinking, if there are a lot of questions, I'll assign a new video regarding all the questions that you have. If you have any problem, just put in the comment. So yeah, that is for today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next.